to your class, you need to be able to tell them, this is what I'm going to do today. So that at the end of the session, they can ask themselves, have I learned what she had set in as a goal? So if you can achieve these three, your students will get motivated. Right. Now, how do we achieve this? We achieve this by providing our learners a sense of personalized learning experience, which by now you must have all looked at. The rest of the slide by now, so I won't look at them. I'm not going to read them out, but you will see how each of these, words highlighted in red is going to be transacted through Web 2.0 tools in today's session. Web 2.0 tool, just to refresh your memory, Web 2.0 is a digital tool or a technology tool or a web tool that allows us to interact with it. Interaction as in I can make changes on it. Like for instance, the last time we were talking about examples as Facebook and Wikipedia, Twitter, blogs. These are all interfaces or the screen that allows you to make changes on the screen. So that's why it's called a Web 2.0. Now, why are we so keen on personalized instruction? Because just take a look at the last sentence. Students who receive personalized instruction outperform 98% of students who do not receive personalized instruction. The best thing is that technology gives us the scope to do it. You can optimize personalized instruction experience when you're delivering it through technology, which is why we're talking about it today. Now, okay, right. Yeah, poll time. So, can you all log into paulev.com/KshemaJoes147 either on your phones or on any connected device that you have, and please start responding to this, because all I'm asking is a very simple question. This is just to shake you up, that's it. What is easier to personalize? Is it easier to personalize learning in a face class or on an online class? What do you think? Don't do the text, that's a little complicated. Do the paulev.com/KshemaJoes147 face-to-face class. Absolutely, yes. Personalizing is possible in face-to-face class. So nobody thinks personalization is possible in an online class? I mean, now after this course, we have learned making those interactive videos and all, and so we can make it. Go on, vote for online class. Okay, so yes, but thank you for that. Is that Vijaya? Dixit, madam, Dr. Uma Dixit. Yes. All right, great. So now we have at least a 50% consensus. So all I'm asking you to think about with a poll like this is one, how possible it is to make our face-to-face classes personalized. What are the problems when you make a face-to-face, when you attempt to personalize a face-to-face class? What are the problems that we face there? Remember last time we were talking about how it's not possible to get input from all students when you are trying to personalize a face-to-face class, because as teachers who are running after a prescribed syllabus and working against a restricted time, it's very difficult for us to seek input from all students. So one advantage of online classes is that the back channeling tools and the tools like this, the poll tools and all, allow us to take input and feedback from all students in the class. So it kind of saves you a lot of time in that way, making personalization more possible in an online class. What was the second thing? Yeah, the second thing I wanted to talk about was that in a face-to-face class, we are forced to, deliver the syllabus, address the components of the syllabus. and many of us work with prescribed textbooks. So in a face-to-face class, it's like a generalized kind of teaching, because the textbook is not built or written for any specific audience, and nor are the worksheets that we bring into the class applicable to all 40 or 30 or 80 people sitting in our class. It's just not possible for us to personalize in terms of worksheets and textbooks that we use, activities that we use in a face-to-face class. However, an online class allows you to use multiple kinds of materials, multiple worksheets at different levels. Now, I know what you'll be thinking about right now. It is 3 times the work. It is 4 times the work.
Is what teachers all over the world are talking about, that teaching an online class is 3 times the work that it is while teaching a face-to-face class. Now, I agree with that. I understand that because I have also been going through that. There's a lot of work required when you are delivering class in the online mode. But what you have to remember is that it's just the first phase. In the beginning, when you are settled with, for this particular topic, I can use these many materials, and here are worksheets ready for lower level learners, middle learners, and higher level learners. Once these things are set in place from the second round onwards, it's going to be an easy job. So I would really consider that personalized learning is more possible in an online class. And take a look at the next poll. I will not wait too much for delivering your lectures before you actually deliver the live lecture. While you are preparing for the lecture, I would like you to think about chunking or segmenting them. This is not anything new for us as teachers. We've been all doing this, but it is very important in the case of online learning because human memory can't hold more than 5 to 7 bits of information. There's this instructional rule 5 plus or minus 2. This is as much as human mind can hold. It can take around 5 to 7, or I don't know, if you really push it hard, might be able to take 8 or 9, but I would say stick to 7 bits of information because we are dealing with adult students. When you are delivering your lecture, ask yourself, okay, what's the portion I'm going to teach today? Chunk it into segments of 7 bits of information. So convert that into bullets, convert those 7 into 7 bullets that people can read and understand. Now, what happens when you cannot chunk a lesson? You stop after every 10 or 15 minutes, take a break, give a pause at the end of, keep the talk short, 15 to 20 minutes, and then always start with your objectives. Remember mastery and purpose that I was talking about. Tell your students every day what they're going to learn in that day's class. Make it very clear so that at the end of the session, they will be able to cross-check whether they have learned it or not. So start with your objectives, convert your points to bullets, and if you cannot give them bullets, then stop every 15 minutes. And after you stop, what do? You give them an activity. We'll come to that later. Now, the other thing you can do as teachers is while this is again before delivering your lecture. Okay, so before delivering your lecture, think about your objective, think about chunking, think about taking a break every 10 to 15 minutes. Before delivering your lecture, also try to visualize information as much as possible. Remember what I was talking about. What's his name? Sorry, the HRD minister, Dr. Ramesh.
Nishank.
Okay, the HRD minister and yes, thank you. Yes, there is also a Nishank somewhere, right? That is what kind of throws me off. I think that is a pen name or something like that.
Yeah.
So right now, so him, and also when Pragyata guidelines were being inaugurated, Ms. Nirmala Sitaraman, they were all talking about how important it is to visualize our teaching and learning, how important it is for us to use a lot of infographics and pictures and multimedia sources to support our classes. So I would like to say that the second thing, or the second most cardinal rule, is that when you create your presentations, try to have as many infographics or non-verbal images, in non-verbal resources to supplement each point that you are making, because many all of you know that many of us are verbal and non-verbal kind of learners. There is also this thing of dual coding, when you're receiving information through the verbal format and the non-verbal format, your brain codes it two times. Your brain processes information twice, so that makes it easier. I mean, that makes it, that paves the way for very meaningful and effective learning. So I would like to also say that, especially in online context, this is quite possible because resources are available out there, so all you have to do is search for them. So please supplement your classes, your lectures, with images, because there is a difference between telling them and showing them. When you're using only verbal resources, you are actually just telling your students as opposed to showing them. Take a look at this example, for instance, how I became a public speaker by G.B. Shaw. Somebody was trying to take this, and this was being used for.
Ma'am, the voice is slightly not clear. Yeah, yeah.